The Russian invasion of Ukraine has brought about the resurgence of some of both countries' old weapons that still pack a good punch, some of which have outlived their operational capacity. However, there are a few that still make a difference despite their age. Here are a list of World War II weapons used in today's Russo-Ukraine War. Mosin Nagant M1910 The Mosin Nagant Model 1891 bolt-action rifle combined a simple design by Russian Captain Sergei Mosin with a 5-round internal box magazine designed by Belgians Emile and Léon Nagant. Entering Russian service in 1892, it remained the standard long arm of the Russian infantry through the Russo-Japanese War, World War I, and in its improved 1930 Soviet version, World War II. The Model 1891-30 was rugged, reliable, and accurate, its average minute of arc ranging from a 1.5 to below 1, less than an inch over 100 meters. It proved murderously successful. In fact, German snipers reportedly preferred captured Mosin Nagants to their own Mauser Karabiner 98K rifles. Although the Soviets also adapted the semi-automatic Tokarev SVT-40 for sniper use, it proved less accurate than the proven Mosin Nagant, which ultimately eclipsed it. Russia produced some 330,000 Model 1891-30 snipers between 1941 and 1943. These remained in Soviet use until replaced by the Tokarev SVT in 1963. SVT-40 The SVT-40 is a World War II-era self-loading rifle of Soviet origin. Fyodor Tokarev developed this rifle with the intention of it becoming the new standard-issue rifle of the Soviet Union. It was used in large quantities during World War II, but was never as ubiquitous as the Mosin Nagant bolt-action rifle in Soviet service. The SVT-40 is a gas-operated rifle with a short stroke piston and a tilting bolt. The gas system is adjustable. The wooden stock features a traditional rifle grip. It uses the 7.62 by 54 mm Russian cartridge from a 10-round magazine. SVT could be reloaded either by replacing the magazine or by using 5-round stripper clips of the Mosin Nagant. RP-46 In World War II, the primary light machine gun of the Soviet Red Army was the DP Degtyaryov Pechotny, or Degtyaryov Infantry, or its modernized variant, DPM. However, these machine guns were fed by 47-round, pan-shaped magazines, which were quite cumbersome to use. Experience in World War II showed the feasibility of belt-fed machine guns and the great firepower asset those weapons possess, such as the German MG-34 and MG-42. The Soviet military's desire for such a machine gun quickly resulted in a further modification of the DP machine gun to transform it from a magazine-fed system into a belt-fed. This was released in 1946 and was designated as the RP-46. It utilizes 7.62 by 54R Russian cartridge as its gas-operated action from a 50-round belt-fed mechanism. M1910 Maxim The PM M1910 Maxim's machine gun Model 1910 on the Sokolov's mount was a heavy machine gun used by the Imperial Russian Army during World War I and the Red Army during World War II. It was adopted in 1910 and was derived from Hiram Maxim's Maxim gun, chambered for the standard Russian 7.62 by 54 mmR rifle cartridge. The M1910 was mounted on a wheeled mount with a gun shield. During the war, several small variants of the M1910 had been produced. However, the most common of these was the PV-1 heavy machine gun, which was an air-cooled version that also had several mechanical improvements. DSHK The DSHK is a World War II-era heavy machine gun of Russian origin. Together with the American M2HB, it's one of the most produced heavy machine guns in the world. It's used on tripod mounts and many Soviet fighting vehicles. The DSHK is a belt-fed, gas-operated, air-cooled heavy machine gun. The weapon cycles through the use of a gas piston below the barrel. The original DSHK uses a rotary feed system. This was replaced on the modernized and more common DSHK-M with a shuttle feed system similar to the one on the RP-46. The DSHK fires the 12.7 by 108 mm round at a cyclic rate of fire of about 600 rounds per minute. It's usually fed by 50-round belts. For a heavy machine gun accuracy, it's still not accurate. Still, the maximum effective range is about 2,000 yards. Browning M2. Very few machine guns in history of the world own a legacy such as that of the famous Browning M2 heavy machine gun series. Born out of World War I requirement of 1918, which saw American authorities attempt to copy the success of the French Hotchkiss M1914 11mm medium machine gun for the anti-aircraft role, engineers John Browning and Fred Moore went to work on developing a large-caliber version of their existing M1917 30-06 caliber machine gun. The resulting effort became the U.S. Machine Gun Caliber 50 M1921, or the M2 Browning. The weapon was chambered for the 50 BMG Browning machine gun cartridge, otherwise known as the 12.7 by 99 mm NATO in the post-World War II world, and fed via an ammunition belt running through the upper receiver. The 50 BMG was itself a massive cartridge shaped like a traditional bullet and featuring a rimless bottleneck casing. PPS. The PPS, Pistolet Pulmiliot Sadeva, in English, Sudev's submachine gun, was a family of Soviet submachine guns chambered in 7.62 by 25 mm Tokarev, developed by Alexei Suryev as a low-cost personal defense weapon for reconnaissance units, vehicle crews, and support service personnel. The PPS and its variant were used extensively by the Red Army during World War II and were later adopted by the armed forces of several countries of the former Warsaw Pact, as well as its many African and Asian allies. The initial design, designated PPS-42, was first manufactured in December 1942. In mid-1943, PPS-43 entered production. This new variant featured improved safety mechanism, reduced length, further angled magazines for ease of reloading, and rubber rather than wood grips. PPS-43 was further simplified to further decrease manufacturing time. Between 1943 and 1946, about 2 million PPS-43 weapons were built. After World War II, PPS-43 submachine guns were licensed built in Poland, PPS-WZ, 1943-1952, Communist China, Type 54, Finland, M44, Spain, Dux M51, and Germany, M53. PTRD-41 and PTRS-41. Simonov produced the PTRS-41 or PTRS-1941 anti-tank rifle for the Red Army during World War II. While allied with Germany during their conquering of Poland in September of 1939, the two nations were at odds with one another after the German invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941. Soviet military industry was pressed to come up with every war-making device imaginable to try and stave off complete elimination from the invading German army. One such need was for an anti-tank rifle, to which Simonov and their PTRS-41 and Degtyaryov and their PTRD-41 delivered capable systems in 1941. While the PTRD-41 was the more numerous product available to the Red Army, the PTRS-41 was a respectable attempt that offered up some unique qualities to the former. The PTRD-41 was simpler and lighter, yet only fired a single round before required manual reloading. Conversely, the PTRS-41 was a heavier, longer, and more complex, the latter due to its gas system, though fired from a self-loading 5-round clip-fed magazine. The PTRS-41 fired the same 14.5 by 114 mm cartridge as the PTRD-41, but through a semi-automatic, gas-based operation. Tokarev TT-33. The TT-33 existed as a further development and modified form of the base TT-30. The TT-33 made use of machine-locking lugs all around the barrel as opposed to the top-mounted lugs found on the TT-30 to facilitate production. Like most other wartime equipment fielded by the Red Army, the finish of most TT-33s suffered even before entering combat. However, once in action, this rarely detracted from the functional stopping power of the TT-33 mechanism. The pistol proved relatively accurate, highly lethal, reliable, and robust. The pistol is a clone of the Browning M1903 pistol. It's chambered for 7.62 by 25 mm ammunition. PTRD-40. Developed in the Soviet Union by arms designer Vasily Degtyaryov, it was a near-direct copy of the German Bergmann MP28. The PPD was designed to chamber the new Soviet 7.62 by 25 mm Tokarev pistol cartridge, which was based on the similar 7.63 by 25 mm Mauser cartridge used in the Mauser C96 pistol. The PPD utilized a large ammunition drum, a copy of the Finnish M31 Sumi drum magazine, as well as a more conventional 25-round box-type magazine. In 1938 and 1940, modifications were designated PPD-34 and 38 and PPD-40 respectively, and introduced minor changes, mostly aimed at making it easier to manufacture. Mass production began in 1940, a year in which 81,118 PPDs were produced. Nevertheless, the PPD-40 was too labor and resource expensive to mass-produce economically, most of its metal components being produced by milling. PPSH-41. The PPSH-41, Pistolet Pulemyot Shpagina, model of 1941, was one of major infantry weapons of the Soviet Union during the World War II. Total number of PPSHs manufactured during World War II estimates to more than 6 million. The gun became one of the symbols of the Great Patriotic War. It's a crude yet effective high-volume fire submachine gun chambered in the 7.62 by 25 mm Tokarev pistol caliber. The weapon would go on to become the iconic symbol of the Soviet struggle against German might during its dark days of World War II, also becoming the standardized Soviet submachine gun of the entire war process. DP-27. The Degtyaryov machine gun, or DP-27, is a light machine gun designed for the Soviet Red Army in the 1920s and went into service in 1928. Designed to fire the 7.62 by 54 mm R cartridge, it was the standard Soviet light machine gun during World War II and was commonly modified and used on aircraft and tanks. In 1946, it was replaced by the RP-46, which is a metallic belt-fed version adopted in 1946 with a heavier barrel to allow prolonged sustained fire. The LMG is fully automatic with a very slow fire rate of 550 RPM and holds 70 rounds and has 141 rounds in reserve. It deals a maximum of 49 damage per body shot. This means the LMG requires a minimum of 3 shots to take down any operator. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching till the end, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.